everyone, it's Miss Davenport. Today we're starting a new unit, one of my favorite units, and that's on cells. So first of all, what is a cell? It's the smallest part of our body. In order to see them, we have to look under a microscope. And they all have different functions within our bodies, and it's what allows us to live and to do everything we have to do. It all comes down to those cells. They may not seem that important, but they really are. What are the two different types of cells? Cells are either prokaryotic or they're eukaryotic, and we're going to talk about prokaryotic cells first. One thing you need to always keep in mind with prokaryotic cells is no nucleus, no membrane-bound organelles. Say what that means in just a second. Your prokaryotic cells are usually unicellular. That means it's only made up of one cell. It's not like our bodies where there's hundreds and thousands and millions, trillions, billions of cells everywhere that make up our entire body. They're literally, the whole organism is just one cell. This right here is just one whole entire organism contained in one cell. Whereas over here, an animal would have tons of these cells. A plant would have tons of these cells to make it up. But a prokaryotic cell, like a bacteria, for example, this is all that there is to it. They do not have a true nucleus. Remember, no nucleus. They do not have a nucleus in the middle of their cell. They don't have a small round structure that holds DNA or genetic information. They don't have that. They also lack membrane-bound organelles. An organelle is a small structure or part of a cell, kind of like another component or another compartment that has a specific function that helps the cell do its job. And prokaryotic cells do not have membrane-bound ones. So no nucleus, no membrane-bound organelles. So we have our picture of our prokaryotic cell. This could be a bacteria, for example. And we're going to talk about what all of these structures are. So first we're going to look at these. They are pili. That means that's multiple ones. We also have cytoplasm. It's not pointing to these dots. It's pointing to this space all throughout here in the cell. That's the cytoplasm. Kind of like jelly filling of a donut or something is what you can think of that like. Then you have the dots, the small little circles. They are your ribosomes. In our next video, we're going to talk about what all of these things do. I'm just kind of pointing out where they are, what they look like, and if they're in a eukaryotic cell or a prokaryotic cell. We have a plasmid. Okay, that's more genetic information, more DNA, small and circular. We have flagella. That's how these guys can move. They don't have legs, but they have flagella. DNA. Okay, so this is all that coiled up, wound up stuff in the middle, responsible for so many different things. It might not be inside of a nucleus, but it's still got DNA. We have our cell membrane. That's the lighter gray area here surrounding the cell. All cells have this. And then you have the cell wall, which is on the very outside to add extra support. So that's our prokaryotic cell, or our bacteria. That's all it has. Pretty simple. Then we have our eukaryotic cells. These are plant cells. These are animal cells. You also have fungi and protists. We're not going to go into detail with those right now. So what are some things that all eukaryotic cells have? You'll notice that some things are similar to prokaryotic, some things aren't. Just like with prokaryotic cells, we had a little saying. With eukaryotic cells, we have one too. Eukaryotic cells. You are made of eukaryotic cells, and eukaryotic. Maybe you personally don't sing karaoke, but you know people that sing karaoke, and people in general sing karaoke. So eukaryotic, you are made of eukaryotic cells. So what do they all have? All eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. That's different than our prokaryotic cells. We have a nucleus where our DNA is contained, a smaller structure that looks kind of like this. You notice it's in the animal cell. This is the nucleus with the DNA, and it's in our plant cell. We have a cell membrane that is in the eukaryotic cell. It surrounds it. It is also in, this is our prokaryotic cell, and it's also in these. Mitochondria. Okay, we talked about those before. They're in plant cells. They're in animal cells. They're responsible for respiration. That's not in our prokaryotic cells because that's a membrane-bound organelle. We have ribosomes. That's all these little dots. That's in our prokaryotic cells too. And we have cytoplasm, all that jelly-like filling. So those are some things. Plant cells and animal cells both have these things. All eukaryotic cells have these things. But there's some things that are unique to plant cells. Plant cells have what's called chloroplast. We already know this. That's where photosynthesis happens. That's these green little blobs with pancakes in them. A cell wall. That's what provides structure and support for our plant cells so they can stand upright. They don't have bones. They don't have a skeleton. They have a cell wall. Prokaryotic cells also have a cell wall. But they have what's called a vacuole that's for storage, and theirs is very large. In animal cells, they have what are called centrioles. They're used for cell division, and they do have a vacuole, but it's a lot smaller. Plants have to store more water, so they need a larger vacuole. So there you have it, prokaryotic versus eukaryotic cells. Remember, no nucleus, no membrane-bound organelles, and eukaryotic cells, eukaryotic. So people as well as animals are made up of eukaryotic cells. Thanks for listening.